Hi, everybody. Welcome to It's Bizzy. Here we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to It's Bizzy. Oh my gosh, it's episode 588. That's
Wow.
crazy, isn't it? Hi, Erin.
Hi.
I'm so excited you're here. And you guys, I have to tell you, I saw Erin. I'm going to give you guys just a little background. When I get up in the morning, I pray for about 45 minutes to an hour. So I pray and meditate. And then I'll maybe pick up my iPad and I'll spend some time just looking on Instagram. Like, I want to see inspiring people. And I never look for people I already know. I'm like, I just want to see. And they send me all these reels of people I don't know. And Laine was one of them. And I watched Erin. She was like doing a car, like a diary in the car as she's driving. What do they call it? Was that show with it? Karaoke?
Yeah, car ride
Carpool
karaoke. Yeah.
Yes, but you were doing like a diary. And were you on that road for Highway 4 in Orlando? Because that's a crazy road if you were.
No, I wasn't. I was on the turnpike.
Okay, still crazy.
Still a little crazy, but it's a self-driving car. So it's very safe.
Oh my gosh, you have one of those.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many comments I got on my video that were like, why are you not paying more attention to the wheel, to the car? And I'm like, because it's driving itself. I mean, I still pay attention. I'm like, if you notice, I check my mirrors like several times because I'm still like aware, but it takes a lot less effort than like having to drive it yourself.
Oh my gosh, that is so. I had no
Yeah.
idea. The only place I've ever seen like I saw self-driving cars in Austin, and I thought it was so weird. The Waymos. Have you ever seen those?
No.
Oh, they all
What's a
drive by
Waymo?
themselves.
Oh, yeah.
They're
It's the wave of the
self-driving.
future.
It is. It's the future, and it freaked me out. I felt like the Jetsons. And my son, who's 25, is like, "Isn't it cool, Mom? It's a Jaguar that drives itself, and it's all these cameras on it, all over it,
Yep.
and on this." And I did not like it. I have to be honest. And then they had like this huge fire. Not to digress, you guys, but this huge fire. And all the street, like the lights are out, like there's no lights working.
Oh.
So a Waymo, a self-driving car, had no idea what to do when the light didn't turn
Yeah.
red, green, or yellow. So it
Yeah.
just sat there, just spinning, going, what am I supposed to do? But I'm glad you weren't actually driving your car. And I loved your passion, your honesty, and your authenticity.
Thank
That
you. Thank
I
you. I
wanted to
really
reach
felt
out
like
to you.
God had told me to do that. When Charlie Kirk died, I cried for 7 days straight and I didn't really know why. I just definitely felt like there was a move happening in the spirit world. And I just, I felt like God was like, he's always told me he's going to have me share my testimony, but he never said when. And I felt like he was like, now. And I was like, now? In the car? He's like, yeah, now. Do it now. Do it now and upload it to social media. And I was like, okay. And I'm thinking, I've done stuff like this before. I'm thinking I'm going to get like 200 views. I'm probably going to get some backlash from people who aren't believers. That's fine. And I just couldn't believe it. Every time I checked it, it was like another 1,000 views, another 1,000 views, another 1,000 views. It's up to like 105,000 views right now, which is just blows my mind because I have no makeup on. I'm in my car on my way to work and just trying to really be vulnerable and just tell a little bit of my story and hope that I can inspire the next generation not to make the same mistakes I did. Really, that's all it is.
Well, for one, I want to start off with the fact that you mentioned when you were a child, you thought you were depressed or you
Yeah.
were depressed.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt, yeah, it's definitely now that I've, as an adult, experienced depression. That's exactly what it was. I just felt super, very depressed, very insecure, scared all the time. A lot of anxiety. I had, like night terrors. I wet the bed till I was like 12. I just really, I just was a very emotional child and I was unable to deal with the surroundings that I had going on and just the hyper, intense denominational religion we were in. And I think I mentioned in the video, and if I don't, like it was the 80s. So it was like everything was about the rapture. Everything was about hell and the rapture. And for a child who's depressed and had an anxiety disorder, I was just like, it didn't help. We'll just say it didn't help. I have like I
And
wrote a
what
memoir.
religion was that? For my listeners who
It
haven't
was
seen.
it was Assemblies of God. I grew up Assemblies
Okay.
of God. So
Okay.
yeah, 88 Reasons Jesus Was Coming Back in 1988 was like a huge bestseller, and I was like 7 years old. So that was a really big thing going on, and I would plan like what would happen if I didn't make it in the rapture. So I had like little hidden places for matches, and like in case I got left behind. Like I just had like I just didn't deal with things well. So yeah, so that was kind of my childhood. It was a good childhood. I'm not saying it wasn't great, but I had two sisters who were my oldest sister and I are 10 years apart. So my parents were spread a bit thin with a very big age gap of 3 girls, and my middle sister had pretty severe ADHD, and so it was a lot. It was a lot. I feel like I was kind of like always just trying to make everything okay as a kid, and the whole church stuff was very like, I felt like God loved me. I felt like I definitely knew he existed because I saw miracles. I definitely saw miracles, and I couldn't deny it. I just didn't know how to like talk to him and like feel his love for me. It was always like it was for somebody else. It wasn't for me. It was like, that's really great for you, and I wish I had that. But I was never like trying to engage and figure out how to have it for myself, like a personal relationship.
I totally get that. And I remember feeling that way. Like I was raised Catholic, and now I'm Catholic
Yeah,
again. I mean, I left for a little bit like you kind of did.
that's
And
great. Good for you.
it's like amazing. But I remember being little and being like, oh my gosh, because Jesus is on the cross and he's got like these thorns in his head and there's blood in his hands and his feet. And I was like, this is
Intense.
so scary. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's really intense. It's very intense.
And
And
nobody
I especially think like end times is, my parents now, like looking back, they've apologized to me so many times. They're just like, we didn't know, like we didn't understand that, like for a child, this is terrifying. How do you explain the book of Revelation to a 7-year-old, and them not be scared? So it was like, and we spent a lot of time at the church. My parents were very, very involved. Like we were there Sunday morning, Sunday night. We had Monday night Bible study. We had Wednesday night service. We had choir on Thursdays. Like we were like, it was like, that was our life. So yeah, I really had a hard time finding my place. I didn't have a lot of friends. I just felt alone a lot. I felt very alone. And I was always kind of figuring out how to try to find my place, my gifting. Both my sisters were superstar singers, and I'm like, I could sing, but I wasn't like that, and then I got involved in sports at school, and it was like, that was my thing. I was just so happy to be in sports and not be at church. So, but that's when I kind of started, getting in with the wrong crowd and going down a not so great road that led me to that testimony.
And so tell us more. And I have to tell you guys, before we started recording, I was talking to Erin. I didn't know where she lives. She's like, I live in Orlando. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And she goes, but I'm from the Midwest, And I'm like, oh, really? Yeah. She's like, I'm from up north, the Midwest. And I'm like, really? Where in the Midwest? And she's like, St. Louis, outside of St. Louis in Illinois. And I'm like, what? I'm from St. Louis. And so we have all of this in common, and it is so amazing. This is all God, I swear, in our lives, because he
It
always
is.
it's so amazing. And so tell us your story. So you grow up, you get into sports, and then what happens?
Well, let me see if I can condense this and make this podcast friendly. So I became really involved in sports. My parents decided to move to Florida my freshman year of high school. So we moved to Tampa, and my dad was getting into the ministry. My sister was getting married, all this stuff. We moved down here, down to Florida. It didn't work out. So we moved back. So I spent my freshman year in Florida and then moved back into the same house in Belleville, same hometown, because they didn't sell the house. And at this point, I'm a sophomore in high school, and it's like the whole world had changed, because you know how cliquey the Midwest can be. So I missed the first year of high school, and now all of my friends now have different friend groups, and all the sports teams are like solidified. And, I would try out for stuff, and I couldn't make teams where I was playing varsity in Florida. So it was like that depression thing just came back pretty heavy. And because I'd lost the thing. I'd lost the thing that made me different. You know, I was like, I'm the sports girl. I'm tall. I'm 5'10", and like that was my thing.
Right.
And so I was just devastated. I was absolutely devastated, and just slipped into a pretty dark place, and started hanging out with anybody who would hang out with me, really. And then I got asked by a friend if I would go with a friend to prom. Somebody I'd never met. She was like, he needs a date. Would you want to go? Well, you'll be going with my friend group. She was a girl I knew, but not very well. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. So I went to prom with a stranger, and he got so drunk he couldn't talk, and he passed out in a yard afterwards. And I was at this party, and you know, it's so funny because looking back, I know how the enemy was already like working in my life. He already had a grip on me because I loved smoking. I was a smoker. And all I wanted to do was just smoke cigarettes. I didn't care about prom. I didn't care about the dress. I didn't care about the boy. I just wanted to smoke cigarettes and maybe have a couple beers. And so instead of doing the logical thing, which is your date is passed out drunk, maybe call your parents and have them come get you, I was like, I'll just have a few cigarettes and sit here because, you know, depressed and just numbing out. And then, you know, this horrible thing happened, which I share a little bit in my testimony, but my virginity was taken from me at this party by somebody I never saw again. And it was pretty awful. I was very, very quickly discarded. And then to add insult to injury, as if that wasn't traumatizing enough, by the time I got to school on Monday morning after the prom, there was all this weird energy, and people are whispering, and there's, you know, my friends aren't talking to me, and I get to lunch and they're all sitting at a different table. And I'm like, why is nobody sitting at the table? And then I get jumped by a bunch of girls, who, you know, everybody's screaming at me, calling me a slut, throwing food, dumping drinks on me. So yeah, that was, from there on, I was just like, yeah, I'm going to do whatever I want now. Cause I just was in such a like devastatedly humiliated, dark place. And you know, what 15-year-old can handle that? You can't. Mm-mm. You know, and I didn't know what to do. I tried to talk to a couple of people about it, but when I did, it was always like it was my fault. And so I just quit talking about it. I actually pretended for years that it didn't happen. I was just like, you know, it didn't happen. I'll just shove it down. It didn't happen. And then I got a boyfriend, the next year, well, my junior year of high school. Yeah, I got a boyfriend. And he was so kind and sweet to me, and till he and I got intimate, and then he accused me of not being a virgin. So I'm found out about the trauma, and then it was a whole other set of trauma. So now he's humiliating me and telling me, you know, it just was this thing that followed me, and I could never like sort of let it go. So I just found whole new groups of people, and just kept finding darker scenes. And, you know, next thing I know, I was in the bar industry. I'm an artist. I got my degree in art, and I put a lot of my pain into painting. But years go by, and I just never dealt with a lot of that stuff that was in there. And I didn't know the Lord, and I had walked away from God, and, you know, it was a lot of darkness. And I met the Lord when I was 32. I finally was like, I was in a really bad marriage. I was miserable. I didn't have any money. My family all lived thousands of miles away. And I just threw myself on the floor one morning and just said, you know, Jesus, if you're really real and you really do care about me, like you say you do everybody else, you know, reveal yourself to me. I want to know who you are. And if you can do something with this mess of life that I have made, it's yours. And I was like, I really meant it. I was like, if you want me to live in an Eskimo in Canada to talk to 3 people about you, I'll do it. Like, just get me out of this life. I'm so miserable. And I wasn't met with a angry father. I wasn't met with, you know, judgment or condemnation. I just felt the Lord really loved me. And I had this miraculous encounter with him, and it hasn't stopped since. I just fell so in love with Jesus. And he just has slowly, like one little step at a time, he slowly walked me out of there. He got me out of St. Louis. He got me down to Florida with my family. And the city here just, he told me to come to Orlando, and I was like, I don't want to go to Florida. And he was like, just trust me. And since I got here, I signed with an art agent within 3 months of moving down here. And I started painting all over the country, doing live events and stuff. I've been all over the world doing it. I started my own company here. I own a cabinet refinishing company here. I have the best friends I've ever had in my whole life. I met in Orlando. And so like life is just, it's just so much better with Jesus. It's so much better. But if I had to do it over again, I'm like, why did you not just, Erin, why didn't you just meet Jesus then? You're in his church every day. Like, you know what I mean? It's sometimes I live in those spaces of regret of like, oh, you were like, all you had to do was just talk to him then. But hey, better late than never, you know?
Well, don't you think, at least I think, I feel like we, for one, as human beings, we are all like, none of us come out of this unscathed, right?
Right.
And that we all get these choices that come to us. And especially when you've dealt with such, I mean, I can relate to your story so well. And it makes you just so like you can't talk about those things.
Right.
Nobody is gonna be like, I'm so sorry that happened to you. No, it's like I'm sure you did something to make this person do this to
Yeah.
you, right?
Yeah.
And the shame is
Yeah.
so overwhelming.
Yeah. And you continue to carry it with you your whole life. I put that testimony on Instagram, and I know for a fact one of the girls that abandoned me at that lunch table watched that video. Did she reach out? Did she say, I'm so sorry, I didn't know? Did she? No. No. Because some things, they just, you're gonna be tagged a certain way, and you have to just close those doors and say, I'm so sorry that that's your life, and move on. And know that you carry these things, and you have to forgive. And that's tough. It's tough. It's not easy to forgive everybody.
It isn't, but I think it says way more about that person than it does
Yes,
about you, for sure,
absolutely.
right? And so
Absolutely.
getting to this place where I think, and forgiveness is hard, right? Because we're never going to
Yeah,
forget,
that's
but
right.
we aren't going to let them take rent in our head anymore, right? It's like
Right.
we can't give you that space anymore. And
Yeah.
because of what this person did to you and ridiculed you and belittled you and made you feel like worse than like a piece of dirt on the floor, that makes us rebel, right? Because
Yeah.
those feelings are so, at least I remember them being so big. It was like, get me a drink, get me whatever you want, get me
Yes.
da, 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 da. Fill the hole in my soul, right?
And as a Catholic, I'm sure you would understand, like, we're taught as women that your virginity is like the one thing you have to offer. So it
Yep.
being gone, you're just like, I mean, you're already going to feel terrible and shame, but then to add on top of it that you're publicly shamed for it. It was dark. It was dark.
And can you imagine what it'd be like for the kids today with all this social media? It's
No,
crazy.
no,
I mean,
I probably wouldn't have made it. I'm going to be completely honest. I would not have made it. I probably would have committed suicide. I can tell you right now, because those thoughts loomed. But like I said, it was a different time, and there were no cell phones. So there were pagers, and that was it. So it was like rumors fizzled out and people moved on to the next rumor. And I just knew if I shifted friends, that maybe it wouldn't matter and people would forget. And I think some people did forget. Some people didn't even know. They'd heard a rumor about a girl, but they didn't put together that that was me. I dyed my hair platinum blonde. I like reinvented myself and came back to school junior year as a different person. I lost like 15, 20 pounds or something like that, which on a teenager is a lot of weight.
oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah. Yeah. I just was doing anything I could to just be like, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. That wasn't me. You know?
And it's so, as women, I think it's harder in some ways. And maybe a man out there is going to say, no, that's not true. But I'm going to tell you, we feel so much. I know I've been married twice and
Yeah.
I have two sons. So I know that they are like, whatever, they let it go. I remember my oldest son going to sleepaway camp, and this kid, the first year, was the biggest jerk to him. And of course, me as the mom has to call the camp, don't put him in a cabin with this kid again.
Right.
And the next year he goes and he's best friends with the kid. And he's like, Mom, who cares? Why do you girls carry everything? But we do,
We do. We
because
do.
we're emotional.
We are. It's true. It's true.
And
Sometimes I wish we were more like men in that, where it's just like, can we just duke it out and then like move on and be best friends and never talk about it again? That would be so much easier.
but
Yeah.
I don't you think Jesus did this for you so that you could be I think that we get I don't know if I'm right on this, and again, this is my opinion, you guys, if you're out there, but
Yeah.
I think that we go through these hard, dark times like I've been going through for like the past whatever many years. And I feel like it makes me get closer to God. Like makes
Yes.
me want to be closer. Like it makes me
Yes.
want to surrender more, right?
Yes. Yes. I couldn't agree more. You were saying you spend every morning in prayer, and I do the same thing. And I was actually just having this conversation this weekend with my niece, where she was just like, how do you cultivate a routine of reading your Bible every day? Like, how do you get there? And I was like, you know what? And she has just gotten married. Life is amazing. You know, she's happy. And I was like, there's going to come a time where that hour in the morning that you read your word is going to be all you have, and you're going to need it so bad. So don't feel bad about the fact that you're happy right now. And you believe in God and you have faith and you pray every day and all of that, but don't beat yourself up because you're not digging in the word, because there's going to come a time where you're going to need answers desperately, and you're going to need to hear his voice, and you're going to get in that Bible so fervently, like it is a life raft in a drowning flood. And like, those are the times that you're going to cultivate a routine that, and then one day it just never stops. Because for me, it'd always be like fasting, getting into a routine, things would get better, and then I would kind of chill out. But like the more times that happened, the more times I realized like I can't chill out. I have to stay in his word every day. I've got to pray every day. I can't let go. If I let go, I'm unarming myself. And the next thing that comes, I'm clinging to that life raft again. Instead of having the armor of God, having Ephesians 6 from the top of my head to my feet ready. you know I feel like it's so important.
It is so important. And Charlie Kirk, and it's so sad that
I know.
what tragic what had to happen to him. But I feel like he is way more popular now than he was when he was alive. More
Absolutely.
people definitely know who he is. And people are not ashamed. But these haters that come out, and you can see someone, you don't even have to have them open their mouth to know that they don't believe.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true.
I mean, you see it on their faces. They're,
Mm-hmm.
they put their frowners down. They don't smile.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because for me, I've got a Trump sticker on my car, and people will, and I always say hi to everybody because, we're from the Midwest. That's what we do.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And people are like, oh, why is she so nice? And it's like, because God is with me every minute
Yeah.
of every day.
Because people aren't stereotypes and archetypes. Not everybody gets put into a box. And yeah, I think that's great. Good for you. Good for you for having a Trump sticker and being nice to people, because people need that. They need that in the world.
It's so true. And I feel like because we're from the Midwest and growing up, I mean, I don't know if it's still like this because I haven't lived in St. Louis in a long time, but growing up with the Cardinals and apple pie, and it was just everybody loved the Cardinals. And when you would go to a
Yes.
game, it didn't matter. You'd even root for the other team sometimes. You're like, because we just like everybody. And then all of a sudden, this dark has come along,
Yeah.
and when you talked about the rapture, it's like, you wonder what's happening right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. That's so true. Yeah, there are so many things about the Midwest that I miss and love. I do kind of miss that all American camaraderie, where I feel like everybody had certain staples, certain things, like you wanted to keep your car washed, you kept your lawn cut, and you went to Cardinals games, and no matter what restaurant or bar you went into, the Cardinals game is on. Like, it is on. It's a law. No, you're not going to see a TV in any restaurant when there's a baseball game happening and it not be on the TV. Um, my parents used to laugh because they're like, "You don't even like baseball. How do you know so much about it?" I'm like, "I'm a bartender." It's unavoidable. It's unavoidable. It's always on. um, I miss kind of that slower, paced life, and so same for me. Like I haven't lived there in a long time, not in 10 years. And, especially since the world has just, since post COVID, just really divided up, really, at least online. I don't know if it's necessarily that way in real life sometimes, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, the 80% of Americans, I think, are in the middle, and you lean one way and you lean one way, and you go back and forth depending on the issues. That's why we vote issues. That's why politicians pick issues to campaign on. Like, but we only see these extreme two sides to try and pit each other against each other. And I sometimes fear for the younger generation, because I'm like, I hope you guys know that this isn't real. It's not always like this. There is a life that doesn't exist in this device that's much more peaceful, and where people say hi to each other. you know
And
I miss
ask, where'd
that.
you go to high school?
Yeah, exactly. So that's such a weird St. Louis thing that I still don't get. I take my friends back to St. Louis with me, and if somebody strikes up a conversation with them and they're like, they asked me where I went to high school. Why did they ask me that? I'm like, it's a St. Louis thing. I don't know what, like, in Jacksonville, Florida. Like, I'm like, I don't know why. I've heard some theories. They're like, it's a way for people to figure out your socioeconomic status by judging what neighborhood, like what school you went to, kind of gives them an idea on like what kind of background you had
It's
financially,
so
which I was like,
crazy.
that's actually a pretty good, that's a
It makes
pretty,
sense.
yeah, it's pretty cringy, but makes
It is.
sense.
It's really cringy. And
Yeah.
so today you have this amazing community and you've weathered so much.
Yeah.
So if somebody's out there and they're listening to you, Erin, and me, of course, and they were to say, how did you get past the grief? Like, what would you give as like maybe some tips or ideas that worked for you to get to this place of peace?
I think it's a process for everybody. Um, I think forgiveness is a process. I don't think it's easy to say that you forgive somebody one day when you're winning, and the next day when you're losing, find that there's some unforgiveness in there again. And sometimes I have to forgive some people over and over and over. There are people in my journal I've been forgiving for 20 years, and I think that I've forgiven them. You know what I mean? I always feel like, nope, and I'll pray blessings for them, and then a thought will come a few years later, and I'm like, whoa, you're still not completely forgiven there. And so, but I feel like blessing those who have hurt you and forgiving those who have hurt you is such a powerful tool for yourself. God's word talks about it a lot, and the forgiveness that you show your enemies is going to be shown to you eventually. And forgiving yourself, I think, is really hard. That's probably the hardest for me, is I hold myself so accountable. I'm just very like, I feel like I blamed everybody else, and I was kind of a victim for a really long time. And then I came to this place of like, no, I'm taking charge of my life. I am going to change things. I'm going to have a different kind of life. I'm putting God in charge. And that's great. But it also, when you hold yourself so accountable for everything, it's hard to forgive yourself for things too. And so forgiveness for yourself too. I think it's really hard some days. Some days I still struggle with that.
I talked to somebody actually today about that. I actually talked about that same thing, about being your authentic self. Like, God has already forgiven us.
Yeah.
And I said to this person, why am I not getting to like my full authentic self? What is standing in the way? And she's
Right.
like, trauma. And
Yeah.
she said trauma. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so really getting to this place that we identify like, okay, this is why I have the trauma, and letting it go each day. Because God's already forgiven us, right? Like, God
Yeah.
already thinks that we're like, he loves us so, so, so. I mean, I'm like, I don't even think we could fathom how much he loves us, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I still have hard times some days in believing that he's forgiven me, because I'm just like, Lord, I did you so dirty. like, like I did you so dirty. I ignored every time you told me, don't do that. Don't go there. All the times that he protected me, I didn't deserve it. I was totally walking in my own way, going to horrible places, being with horrible people. And God and putting myself in situations that I know that if it wasn't for God being there, I wouldn't be here. And yeah, I forget what I was going with that, but it's just like, oh, the believing that he's forgiven me because, I would have run out of forgiveness, but that's what makes me a person and makes him God,
Exactly. Exactly. And so where do you see yourself going with your new, like all these followers you're getting and all these people that are like commenting? What do you hope to do in the future?
I don't, as far as all that goes, I don't really know. I have spent the last 10 years here in Orlando really focusing a lot on filmmaking and my art and all of that and starting my business, my wood refinishing business. But right now I feel like a lot of things are shifting. I feel like God is moving a lot of like tectonic plates are just like moving and shifting and different opportunities are opening. And I'm very excited to see what God has next. I've gotten involved in prison ministry and I'm becoming so passionate about it. I absolutely love it. I'm with a company called Breaking Chains International, led by Teresa Kemp. She's an incredible testimony, unbelievable. And we are working on a bill right now called the New Life Act, and we're trying to get that passed to help nonviolent and non-sex offenders who have been out post parole 7 years, 5 to 7 years, to get their records sealed. Because we're working on prison reform. Basically, it's very, very hard. The statistics are just alarmingly terrible for people falling back into prison, going back into drugs, getting back, they get sober in jail, they find the Lord, and then there's just nothing but dead ends. So they go back to what they know. So we're trying to work on that for nonviolent and non-sex offenders. A lot of them are just drug addicts, they're just drug addicts and they just need somebody to give them a shot. And so we're working on that. That's something she's really passionate about. She's been out of prison 30 years. And obviously built a ministry and is a powerhouse for the Lord. And she still deals with it. She still, goes to apply for jobs and things, and they still bring up her record from 30 years ago. So she's just like, this just isn't fair. It's not meant to be a monkey on your back for your whole life. So that's something I'm passionate about doing. I would love to find myself at the White House in the next 4 years. I think that, I don't know why, I just feel like that's going to happen. I don't know why, but I hope it does. And I'll be interested to see what.
It probably will. And you know that like 90% of people that are in prison or jail are because of drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
And the treatment, the whole thing is broken. It's so broken.
Yes.
And repeat, like people going in and out of treatment. I mean, I tell people all the time, I mean, you might go to treatment, but the chances of you've got better odds of winning the Super Bowl in Vegas and going and placing a bet in Vegas than you do getting sober in treatment, because it's constant. You have to be ready. And the family's being pulled apart in America so much,
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the things I loved so much about Charlie Kirk, and about how he was really like pounding the message home to these young people of like, have a family. Please don't be scared of marriage and kids, because it's really like that is the backbone of America. That's going to be the thing that's going to pull you through the hardest times. Like, we've got to get back to that. And I feel like these last couple generations, myself included, millennial and Gen X, we just weren't having families as much and putting as much importance on the family unit. And I feel like our country is, paying the costs of that right now.
100%. 100%.
I would give anything to go back, and do it again and have a family, because like the older you get, I feel like society kind of did us dirty, us women, us like Gen X, millennial, and we got done dirty. Everybody was like, oh, your career, like you got to do this. Like, don't be a stay-at-home mom. That's for lazy people. And like, you do all this achieve. And then you turn around and look and you're like, nobody wants an achieving woman.
Exactly.
That's not what they want.
Women's lib, and I was born in 1968. So all this women, and I understand we weren't allowed to have bank accounts, and now we are, and all that. I love that, and I love that if you want to get a job and you want to be a woman and you want to like, I'm going to bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan, and like and do all that stuff. I think it's amazing. But like my job as a mom was like people would be like, "How much would you get paid?" I'm like, for somebody to throw up on you, somebody to tell you that they don't like your food, they hate you, they think you're the worst person in the whole world. You're like, "I'm trying my hardest," and they don't care. But for so long, it was so confusing. It's been
Yeah,
so confusing, and that's what I love about Charlie. It's what about Donald Trump, because he's just like, I'm
totally.
just telling you the obvious. Like, we don't. I mean, like,
Yes.
come on, you guys. Boys cannot be
Yes.
girls, and girls cannot be boys. I'm sorry. You can't be
Right.
a cat just because you feel like it. Okay?
You can, but don't expect me to meow at you.
I'm like, I don't even understand. I mean, the mental illness is just,
It's rampant.
it's
Yeah. It
rampant.
really is.
But getting back to God and knowing that God has us, and
Yes.
he's got to know what's going on. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was that pendulum, man. It, like my mom has said several times, she's like, the women's movement was supposed to be about choice. It
Yeah.
wasn't supposed to be about you have to have it all, you have to have a career. It was supposed to be about if you didn't find somebody, if you have a special talent and a special thing that you don't feel like God has put children on your heart, you should have a choice and you should be paid well for it. That's what it was about. It wasn't supposed to be about you have to do this and you have to have children and you have to, you know what I mean? Or you have to try and do it all, or you need to climb a corporate ladder. And like, it was supposed to be about empowering the women, not making us have to get out into the career field. And that's the end all be all. And, kids should be secondary, get married later, have kids later. And it's like, that's not how biology works. I really wish people would have talked about that a little bit more of like, you don't have time. You don't. If you
No,
want to have children, try and start having kids in your 20s. Just do it. Just
just
do
do
it.
it.
You're going to
Yeah,
be glad.
my
You're
mother
going to be
had
so glad.
my mother had 4 kids before she was 30.
Yeah. See, that's
And
when
I
her
did
body was
almost.
ready to do it.
I
She
had
probably
3.
barely had to try.
Oh, exactly. You don't have. I mean, it was, and the food was. I mean, I just heard something. I don't even know what I was listening to, but they were talking about how, like back in the day, if you went to McDonald's, like the French fries and the meat was all cooked in like bone marrow, and
Right.
it was like
Beef tallow or something. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and it wasn't all this like you can't even pronounce the word. I don't even know what this is,
Right.
right?
Polysorbate, something phosphate. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody's fatter and nobody's happy. And the reality is, it's being with your family makes you happy. Being with the Lord
True.
makes you happy.
Yes. Only in his
Knowing you're
presence is
not
there fullness
alone.
of joy. Yeah. I completely agree. Yeah, family is everything. I mean, when it really comes down to it, they're the only ones who have to love you.
I know. So true.
And we're getting away from that even now, too. I feel like now with this whole new like therapy boom, people are like disassociating from family like crazy. And I'm like, I'm sure it's necessary sometimes. There are some toxic people, but I feel like the level of which people are being encouraged to cut their families off is like, that's not the therapy I knew about. I mean, it's about working on yourself and figuring out how to deal with difficult people, not about just cut everybody off who doesn't agree with you. And that goes back to what we were talking about with politics and with Jesus. People who don't, the minute I started talking about on Jesus on Instagram, lost 1,200 followers like that. And I'm just like, and I was never like hiding it. I just wasn't talking about it. But I'm like, are you guys really that petty? It's okay if Jesus isn't for you, but like, there's a hatred there,
But that there's such a thin line between love and hate.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people never even knew, like, because society became Sundays, you got to go to soccer practice, you got to go to baseball, you got to go to this, you got to go to that. It was not like you have to go to church. Like when you and I grew up, like I had to go to church every Sunday. It didn't matter if you wanted to or not.
Absolutely. Yeah. You were sick. It was like, oh, best place for you to go. Go get healed. I'm like,
Exactly.
okay. Yeah. My parents would give me that line all the time. Well, it's the best place for you to be if you're sick. Let's go.
Exactly. And that there's something to be said for that. And I
There
feel
is.
like Charlie Kirk, I mean, obviously he was from the Midwest because he's from Chicago.
Yeah.
He was from Chicago.
Yeah.
And realizing today, like I mean, I'm estranged from one of my children, and they get these, this person decided that I was bad, and I did all these things, and now I'm Not
I'm so
don't talk
sorry
to
to
me
hear
in 3
that.
years. But, but I just have to have patience and I have to trust that God has a plan.
Yes.
And I don't know when, I don't know if, but I have to
Yeah.
have hope, right? And I have
Yes.
to remember, like when we were growing up, our
Yeah.
moms were not our best friends.
No. No. No, 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 no. My mom would actually actively say that. I'm not your friend, I'm your mother.
My mother said the same thing.
Yeah.
And your grandmother wasn't really your mom's friend either.
Right. 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 That's true.
There was this
Being friends is
respect.
later. Being friends is later. When they're done raising you, then you get to be friends. You
Right.
know?
But they're still your
Really?
mother. They always
Yes.
still remind you of that.
Yes. Yes. They wore the pants. For sure.
Oh my
For
gosh,
sure.
I could talk to you all day.
I know. You're very easy to talk to.
So are you. It's because we're from the Midwest. I think that's it.
Right.
Erin, it has been such a pleasure. If you guys want to go see Erin's work, by the way, she has a film that you can look at on her Instagram, which was very cool, by the way. Is that a
Oh,
movie that is out now? Are you working
yes.
on the movie?
Yes. Which one did you see? Which one did you see?
Now you're gonna have to ask. Okay, hold on.
That's
I'm gonna have
okay.
to look.
I do have a my website is www.fourthmanproductions.org, and you can go get information about all of the films and the theater events on that page. My artwork is erinlaine.com. Super easy to remember. And hopefully I will have some information soon about the new act bill, and can get people to help call their representatives and help us get this thing pushed forward.
Well, when you have everything in order with that, let me know and you can come back on and maybe you even can come on with the founder. That would be awesome.
That would be amazing. That would be really
Let's
amazing. I
do
could go
that.
on.
And I'm
And then
gonna
maybe we
have
could just sit and have truffle fries or something sometime, and we can just gab for a few hours. Okay. Thank you so much. This was really
thank you
fun.
so much. You guys, thanks for listening. Remember, please subscribe wherever you're listening. And if you'll give me a rating, I would so greatly appreciate it. And know this, you are not alone. Remember that. Have a great day, and I will be back with you on Tuesday. Take care, everybody.